All right, Big Man, today is Wednesday, it's July 27th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. We are on the road today. We're doing another job interview, and it just so happens I'm sitting across from Gary Stern, who is the owner of Stern Pinball in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Gary, I was told not to call you Mr. Stern.
That's right. Gary's fine.
Okay, but you seem like a Mr. You seem
so
like
I will tell you why you don't call me Mr. Stern. There's two reasons. One is Mr. Stern was Sam Stern, my father, who never got to see this company, but he was Williams. He started as a game operator, then a game distributor, ultimately owned Williams. I could tell you that story in a minute. But when I was a kid, we had a Schnauzer, and the dog's name was Mr. So Mr. Stern's the dog, okay? So Gary be just fine, thank you.
Okay, sounds good. I was going to say, you just seem like a guy who's going to just shower us in knowledge.
No, so, I don't know about that.
That's where I wanted to go. But listen, so apparently what I've just learned, we just took a tour of your facility, and what I learned within the last couple of days is that Chicago is the mecca for pinball.
Well, Chicago is the pinball capital of the world, we used to say. When I say we used to say, on our first game, when this company started as Data East in 1986, built its first game in 1987, and that happens to be a laser war right there. And we wanted everybody to know we were a American pinball capital, a company. So we had on the scorecard holder, the bottom arch, a map of the U.S. with a flag coming out of Chicago with a DE on it, and it said manufactured in Chicago, Illinois, the pinball capital of the world. We misspelled capital for 1.5 games, and it sort of then looked like we weren't an American company, we were Japanese. But our original investors was a Japanese video game company. Yes, this is the pinball capital of the world. Much as Detroit was once the automobile capital of the world. People can make automobiles in other cities. It's, higher tech manufacturing, so forth. You've just been out in the factory. You see we're very labor intensive. There's, about 3.5, 4 man days of labor in a pinball machine. That means 30 hours or so in a pinball machine. The pinball business is centered in Chicago for many years, when you had Gottlieb and Williams, which was my father's company, Bally, Chicago Coin, which I also owned at one point, all in the Chicagoland area, other manufacturers. The people who know how to, that work in this business, the game designers, the rules designers, which we call software guys, but they're really rules designers. The artists, now you find artists because of the technology can be further away, but people who know this business, people who know how to manufacture things, people who have the tooling for the little plastic posts and so forth. It's all in the Chicagoland area, and therefore pinball machines are made here. Atari made pinball machines. I guess that was in the 70s, and they have made one game that was good, but the rest of them, Superman was their last game. The parts, a lot of the parts came from Chicago. They tried to make playfields in California, ended up having them made here and shipped there. They tried to make legs, metal legs, that weigh about 3 pounds. They ended up making them here and shipping them there. I used to supply them some switches as a favor. Mm-hmm. They were friends. So, yes, we're here because we know how to do this. And the people who know how to do this are here. The people who love it move here to do it. People who've tried to manufacture elsewhere have had difficulties with it. We had some European manufacturers in the past, and they didn't survive the downturns. So we're here. We're 85-90% of the pinball business. It's very nice to have other people making games, often hobby manufacturers or smaller volume manufacturers. We have a full distribution and dealer network. And we export 35-40% of our games, so they're worldwide.
Did you always want to do this, or was it just something you were born into, so you grew a liking to it? Or
Well, I say that I've been in the pinball business for 75 years because I'm 77 years old. My father, as I said, started as a game operator in Philadelphia. Many operators became game distributors or resellers so that they could get the games cheaper and earlier and use them on the route and resell them. In 1947, when Sam, as my father, was a punk kid, I can call him a punk kid because he was 35 and I'm 77 now. I wouldn't have said that to him when he was alive. When he came to Chicago to visit a supplier, the Williams Pinball Company and Harry Williams. They were over on Huron Avenue at the time, I believe. And I got to move my stuff to demonstrate a little. So he's kidding around, sits behind Harry's desk, puts his feet up on the desk, and I hope you can, I'm not too far from your mic, leans back and says, "Why don't you sell me the company?" Harry says, "I have to think about that." Goes up, flies around Chicago in his airplane for 3 hours, had one of those little single-engine planes, came down and sold my father half of the Williams Pinball Company. So from that time, we were in pinball. I was 3 in 1948 when we moved here, and I've been around it all my life. Yes, I started, working there in the summers in the stockroom when I was 16, and I've seen the changes. I've seen the manufacturing, but a lot of the manufacturing still is. There's so much we can do to improve it. We are very proud to be American manufacturers, but we're game guys. Just like car people love cars and they make cars, but they have to be made for a public to enjoy and to buy so that they can make money to make the next car if they want to do what they love, make cars. We're the same. Mm-hmm. We love pinball. We have to make pinball machines that you all enjoy so that we can then sell them and make more. And they're not just for us on a pedestal. They're for everybody.
Yeah, people to use. So we're going to put the video out maybe on Stool Scenes next week or maybe in an independent video. I'm not really sure, but we got a tour of your facility and the intricacy of these machines, it was off the charts.
There's about 3,500 parts in a pinball machine. Now, some of the parts are the same, screws or whatever. And if I counted the electronic chips and the boards, it'd be a lot more because we buy the printed circuit boards complete. We don't make our own.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm telling you everything. I expected to see a bunch of machines.
No,
everything's just pressing down. Yeah. This is all mostly by hand.
You take the wiring harnesses, which with our new technology have been reduced to half a mile of wire to a quarter mile of wire. Those are done by hand. Today there is 303 hourly, labor, workers, assemblers, testers, what have you, in the factory, plus the various supervision and the materials control people and then engineers. Now, a lot of people are still working from home in certain areas. Accounting people are here. The sales people are here a few days a week and work from home part of the time. The product development, some are here, some are at home. Any day it depends. Whether they're here. COVID changed things a lot, but we've adapted.
Yeah.
But as I say, 303 people. Today, we employ, call it 330 there, plus other people, so we're well over 400 people. Again, very proud to be making this in America, not in China. We're American manufacturers. And so,
how many people are American manufacturers?
There's a few people in Europe trying to make them. Other people are there. There is one company that tried to make them in China. It was an Australian. And I think he's back in Australia, but that's pretty much a non-starter in my opinion. We as I said, 85-90% of the market, yes, there are other people trying. Some of them doing some interesting things, just like you see my Harley helmet over there. I mean, motorcycles, people try and trick them out and make them different. We make it possible to trick our games out. People try and do, special pinball machines or so forth. We're the general market, and we have the special games, and we have, the commercial games, and so, we have three market segments that we deal with. commercial business, which is game operators, family entertainment centers, bar arcades, breweries, what have you, and out-of-home entertainment. We sell those to distributors all over the world. We have dealers selling to collectors and enthusiasts, people who want to collect games, people who are want to compete in games, so forth. The IFPA ranks something like 100,000 players. I'm probably backdated. 100,000 players in 30 countries, because pinball is a sport popular throughout the world. And then we have what we call just rec room buyers, general homeowners, people who just want something cool for their house. Somebody who was 25 playing pinball in an arcade or a bar many years ago. At 45, wants something for the home, and he says he wants a pinball machine. I may be telling his wife it's for the kids, but it's really for him, because his wife's going to approve everything that comes in that house. So we've got commercial operators, we've got collectors and enthusiasts, and we've got just general homeowners. With that in mind, we make three different versions of a game. We make 3 new games, what we call cornerstone games, every year, with a pro, a premium, and a limited edition, or LE. The limited edition is 1,000 games, numbered, 1 of 1,000, 2 of 1,000, 3 of 1,000. We happen to own the number ones. We keep them. The pros for operators and many homeowners, some enthusiasts. The limited edition has some more features on the playfield, has a mirrored back glass, a little different sound system, and so forth. More eye candy on it.
Yeah.
And the premium has the play of the limited edition, the same playfield, not as much eye candy. And that's for either an enthusiast who wants a more full-featured game at home, or for a game operator where a particular pub may have an audience, a clientele that includes a lot of great pinball players. And we encourage that with the Stern Army, which is a street team of hundreds of people that have events in different venues, bringing pinball events, bringing people in to play them. We also have merchandise, T-shirts and stuff. This is a polo shirt, but we have all kinds of T-shirts.
And for the people that don't know, the different levels, the bells and whistles of everything is just like we were out there and we saw the Guardians of the Galaxy one, and it has, what do you call the pole thing? I know it's got
ball shooter.
Ball shooter. It had Groot on the ball shooter.
That's one of the accessories that we make. We make accessories. You can trick out a pinball machine just like you trick out your Harley.
Yeah, which is what I think is the coolest part, is how detailed these things are. Now, who chooses what gets made? Is it all, because it's all licensed?
Which titles?
Based, right?
Yeah, it's all licensed. And as I say, 3 new titles a year, with think of half a bell curve. It starts out high with a new title and then has a long tail. Mm-hmm. So we'll make them for 3 years, shall we say. The limited edition we only make once because it's limited. And we meet. You have some marketing people. My partner, Dave Peterson, who was sitting next door when you came in, he's much younger than me. He's in his mid-60s. But Seth, you're not meeting. He's a young man. He's 43, came from Disney for a decade and a half in streaming and connectivity and so forth there, and in games there. So he will participate. Marketing people will participate. Our chief revenue officer came from Topps, which is a trading card company, which we did some business with many, many, many years ago. Some people from PD, product development, will be in there. Jody Dankberg's our licensing guy and is into pop culture, and he'll be in that meeting. So there's a group of us. Now, I have to tell you, at 77, I don't really express too much opinion because
So you didn't come up with the Stranger Things machine, is that what you're saying?
No, I did not come up with Stranger Things, but that's a great title, which we made for a number of years, and it's great. Again, we were just at Comic-Con, and it was Stranger Things all over Comic-Con.
Oh,
again.
It's massive. That's why I see that, and I wonder because you, like you said, if you're 77, you probably had to maybe step back from that a little bit because you got your motorcycle helmet. You can't just be like, oh, I like motorcycles. We're going to do a Harley one.
We did Harley for 6 years.
Yeah. Be honest. Did you ever have any where you're like, we're making this just because I want to see it?
I didn't have a Harley at the time. I didn't. I caught we used to go to Harley dealer shows, and then everything was so cool, and it was very much Harley was similar to us. In that, and my partner worked as an investment banker on Harley, going private and public and what have you, with its various troubles over the years. It has a business customer base. It's very small today. It used to be much bigger. Police departments, what have you. It has a collector, an enthusiast. I'm an enthusiast now. And then it has general rec room buyers or suburbanites, whatever, want the bike, and often my bike is something they had for 1,000 or 2,000 miles, and I got done playing with it, and I buy it used. But it's the same thing. The difference is we have crossed the millennial divide. We have young people really having a good time in the bar arcades and the breweries and what have you with pinball, and Harley is struggling to cross the millennial divide. It's similar in the respect that we have different market segments. We recognize one size doesn't fit all, so we make good, better, best, pro, premium, limited edition. The most important thing that we've done is, and we have a home version game that's not coin op and things like that. But the most important thing that we've done recently, of course, is we've advanced the technology. Yes, we put in an LCD screen. That's nice. That also allowed us to do something else, and that is we now have Insider Connected, and this is the most important advance, and this is why I'm more excited about pinball than I've ever been. This means that all the machines can be collected through the cloud, and whether you're hardwire, Wi-Fi, whether it's in a commercial location or somebody's home, the games are connected. You identify, you join Insider Connected. You scan the barcode that is there. Would you hand me my phone, please?
Yeah, it's like an online version. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. So there's a QR reader. You're gonna use your phone with your own QR code, and it's going to know you're playing. It's going to keep track of what you've done. It's going to give you achievements. It's similar to Xbox Live, for example, that has achievements and what have you. Right now, we've started having leaderboards. So in a location, you can have a monitor with in a commercial location with a leaderboard, bragging rights, what have you. You can also have the leaderboard on the phone, on the website. People can have the leaderboard at home for their games. They can set up their own home leaderboards, and so we can develop more and more things. It also lets the commercial operator know what's going on in his game. So, we take a game that is standalone game, and it gives you a geometric progression of what the game can do. And we will continue to drop new features and what have you on it.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you that. Was there ever a rough patch as you guys might have hit because all these gaming consoles and whatnot came alive?
I think we're on the road to a long, bigger future because we have joined the 21st century and started with the connectivity and what have you, and the modern technology inside the game. It's still a ball and bat game. The playfield is where the game is, but the game rules are much deeper and what have you. The idea of any game design is keep your core player, that great player, broaden your player base by keeping the casual players. So it should be easy to learn, hard to master. Mm-hmm. Rough spots? Yeah. The game business has been an up and down business, not just pinball, but the game business. And just like all game designers are trying to broaden the player base, every type of game goes through ups and downs and what have you. Technology can challenge you. Certainly in the Lehman Brothers recession of 2008, it was a very dark time for many businesses, us included. Mm-hmm. There have been some other times that were dark. This company was, as I said, it had originally Data East, a Japanese company, was an investor. That was in 1986 when I started it. We sold it from Data East to their shareholder, Sega, who owned 100% of it, and we were Sega Pinball, same company. Started as Data East Pinball. The owner was Data East. Sold it to Sega, changed his name to Sega Pinball. The owner was Sega. Mm-hmm. And in 99, I bought it back from Sega. Game business was not particularly great, so Williams got out, Gottlieb got out, the other pinball companies got out.
Now, was that because of like the Nintendo 64 and
whatnot? No, that was, the game. Home games certainly affected. First of all, video games. If I go back, I can go back to the late 70s, early 80s before this company, and upright video games became so popular, so big that it affected pinball. Mm-hmm. And part of it is pinball has to be fun, and sometimes it got too much of the same, or too much. Not enough for the casual player, too much for only the great player. You need a broad base. There were in 99, the pinball companies, there was room for us, but some of these companies were public companies, didn't pay for them. Now it would pay because business is bigger and the margins are attractive enough to make pinball machines. When there are too many people making games and just building and discounting, there was no margin in it.
But what about even when arcades just kind of died?
Well, arcades kind of died, but other kind of locations became popular. And again, we've restructured this business to appeal not just to the commercial side of the business, mm-hmm. But to the home, just general homeowner, and to the collector enthusiast. We're probably 70% not commercial, not game operators.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably.
So you're saying for like the people who. I saw the Avengers one out there. Someone who's just a diehard superhero fan, like that's going to be in their collector's edition.
We get the fourth market segment is the collector for the particular title. We have a lot of Rush, and we're building Rush, the Canadian band, and we have a lot of Rush fans who had to have it. But nonetheless, you take a title like Avengers. Marvel titles work very well for pinball. We build a Marvel game, introduce a new Marvel game about every 2 years, a new Lucas, Star Wars, what have you, about every 2 years. We do a Rock Band every year and a half or so, or a year and a third, because they're in thirds, 3 games a year.
Yeah.
And we pick up, like you mentioned, Stranger Things. We've done Walking Dead. We do different TV shows.
Yeah.
A few times we've done product. Harley was successful as a product-based game. It's a little bit more unique. That hasn't been as successful. Sports are difficult because there's not an international sport. Talk about football, and that's American football, or the rest of the world's football.
Yeah.
Okay, which
How did that Space
soccer.
Jam one do?
Space Jam did well. That was a long time ago, and yet it did better. We in America, than in some other countries, but it was a movie-themed game. We did NBA, and we had Yao Ming, so we could attract a business in China. Which we're trying to develop. Having said that, in China. In those days, Kobe was the number 1 T-shirt seller, mm-hmm. Not Yao Ming. He was 10, but it's still important because he's from Shanghai. It's all sports is difficult. We did NASCAR, and for Europe, we did what do we call it?
Soccer,
no, Formula One or something. Okay. We called it. I forgot what we called it, but it wasn't licensed because they don't do NASCAR. Yeah. Basketball, I thought, would be stronger than it is internationally after the 92 Olympics with the Dream Team and Barcelona. Mm-hmm. Still didn't catch on in much of the world. Baseball, you can't do. You can't do baseball. You got Cuba, America, and Japan. I mean, so sports are difficult.
Yeah. Hey, let's take a quick break here from talking to Gary, and let's talk about the Game Time app. The Game Time app is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. They really cracked the code on how to score last-minute deals on last-minute tickets. You could find MLB tickets for under $15 all in on Game Time. Yankees tickets as low as $14, Red Sox $14, Mets $13, Braves $14, Cubs $12, you name it. And Game Time has a hookup on deals to get out to the ballpark. I just bought some tickets to Elton John next week on Game Time, so go check that out if you're looking to go to a concert like that. Or the Smokeouts next week in Chicago, so make sure you grab your tickets to Windy City Smokeout on the Game Time app. The best part is you get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login and redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Go do it. Go download Game Time. All right, let's hop back into the interview with Gary. So now, was there a title that you guys just couldn't make them fast enough? Like, what do you get asked about most today?
All of our titles are great.
Yeah.
All of my children are I love all of my children.
But if there was one children that when you walk in...
No.
There's not
well,
one?
I'll give you one example, though, that was interesting. And AC/DC was a very good game. Mm-hmm. It's our Norwegian customer, who sells in those days sold a lot to enthusiasts and what have you. He said his 35-year-olds wanted AC/DC, Kiss. There had been a Kiss pinball before, Metallica, and Iron Maiden, which is a big title overseas, especially. It's still here. Mm-hmm. And we made all four of those. Kiss, I was in Australia, and people had heard the rumor that we were going to make AC/DC. I mean, that we were going to make AC/DC. So I was in Australia, and doing a presentation, a seminar, whatever, and the audience said, well, can you tell us the title of your next game? And I said, yes, I can. Next question, please. In other words, we don't talk about the next title. But the Australian dollar was strong at the time. The game was excellent, and we probably paved every highway in Australia with AC/DC games. I think Australia was 11% of our business, way out of proportion in those days. But all four of those titles have been, very, very good for us.
All right, so the music is a hit.
Music is a hit, and especially in home, we have and we've introduced in some versions we have chase lights along the side that play with the music inside, instead of selling just art blades, because inside art as an accessory. We have chase lights in there, and sometimes we have those for the music games. It's great with the music games. So yeah, music games are cool. Music games have always been fun. We did Elvis years ago. That was great.
That's probably people are probably banging on the door to get that one back after the movie. I would assume.
Yep.
But you can't do that, from what I was told. Like I'm a big Sopranos fan. And I saw that one in there, and on the tour they were telling me that you never know what the license.
Well, the license ends. License has a finite time. Mm-hmm. We do keep a licensed right to supply parts, because that's important. Sopranos is interesting. In those days, instead of a memory card, an SD card, a memory card. We had ROMs, EPROMs actually, erasable, programmable, read-only memories. Mm-hmm. And we did in those days, for a while, we did different languages. And Sopranos, if you want to really have a good time, you get the Italian chips for it. Even though I don't speak Italian, my Italian customers say the Italian is very good, it's perfect for it. The game's a riot in Italian. It's really absolutely great in Italian.
And now, if people wanted to play that, they just would have to. How do you track these down? Is there like a?
Oh, you mean to find a?
Yeah, like if I was like, hey, I really want to check The Sopranos out. Is there like a master website?
There are locators. There are game locators. We have one on our site for our covers our newer. I don't know how far back it goes, but there are hobbyists put up locators, and you can find them. Google it and you'll find a pinball locator.
So have you had a personal relationship with George Lucas?
No, not a personal relationship. I've met him.
Yeah.
But no, I was at the ranch back in the day.
Because he spends time here, I believe.
Yeah, he married a Chicago woman. Yeah, yeah.
Now, is it because I've always heard he cares so much about the toys and all that thing. Was that a hard one to secure?
Everything is harder today in licensing than it was in his day. The story I get on licensing, I don't know if this is true, but the way I understand the licensing business really grew up is after the first Star Wars. He goes into the studio, for a meeting, seeing the head of the studio was a guy named Ladd, and said, "Well, you owe me some money, for this. Why don't you just give me the ancillary rights, and we'll call it even." Ladd calls and says, "How much licensing do? Not that much. Okay, fine." And that's like $8 billion ago, but that's what really built licensing. Now, there's these movie and production and TV companies all have big licensing departments today. It's much more complex, much more difficult, much more rights to deal with. I can remember one contract with one licensor 20 years ago was 12, maybe 25 years ago. I'm losing track of time in my age. Was 12 double-spaced type pages. Now there's 70-some pages. There's standard, column, small print, left, next to each other. I mean, it's massive, massive, and it's a big business today. A lot of hoops, Again, I think created by George Lucas.
A lot of hoops, yeah. Now, is there? Do you guys have an Atari ET? The famous story where E.T. they had to bury them in a desert or something in Arizona.
Do we have a game buried somewhere?
Do you have a game that just kind of bombed or it didn't do as well as you thought?
Oh yeah, we have.
Yeah,
and we've had a game, some games that we didn't build.
Yeah,
we got. Usually you kill them before then.
And how do you know? Do you just know like you have a sales margin?
It's no, there's a certain amount. Gut, you play it. There's testing, so forth. We've killed some games, because the licensing was just getting too hard.
Yeah.
To deal, to do. Remember, it's their title. It's their football you're playing with. The licensor is football. But we know our side of the business, and we're going to give them a fun game. It used to be much more casual. When we made, I think it was Back to the Future, which is a poster over there.
Signed, by the way.
Yes, by Bob Gale. Yes, so we go and we were taking one to, and again, it was a great game. It's a pretty dated title right now, but
still, Back to the Future holds some weight. I think.
Yeah. So any event, we went to deliver a game to Spielberg. He'd already gone out and bought it. There was one title we did that we paid them for the license fee with 10 games. They wanted the games. When we did Austin Powers, Mike Myers bought them for after we got done and saw what it was, and he approved everything himself. He went and bought them for the actors, the star actors in his next Austin Powers film. He bought them games. And so
That's
forth.
cool.
So, yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Is there? Do you have a one that got away, or do you have I always mess this up between Great White Buffalo and White Whale. What's the one that you've always wanted to make, but you were just never able to secure it?
Sometimes we secured them, and maybe we shouldn't have. Because by the time we get around, again, I'm 77. I'm not the judge of that.
There's nothing though. There's not like what do you,
I'm pretty happy with all my children. Yeah, we got good children. I'm just,
Nothing like that.
all good.
No
all
Forrest
good.
Gump you wish you got?
No, there's not a Forrest Gump we wish we got. There's been some of the smaller manufacturers have, gotten a title and say, oh, that was interesting, or, this or that. But
Yeah.
we have 3 silver bullets a year. We make 3 new, what we call cornerstone games a year. Yeah, sometimes we do a special game like Elvira, which we call a studio game, in addition to the 3 cornerstones. There's only so many silver bullets that, we've got 3 silver bullets to deal with, and there's a lot of titles out there.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we do, we pick right. But there's, it's again, I am happy with our business. I am happy with its current customer base and the people who want to play it and its current growth. And I am thrilled with the prospect with Insider Connected of where this is going, because there's so much more we can do to connect the community and to add people to the community and to grow this, past. If we're just making pinball, without connecting it, we're not in the modern world. This is where the world is today. Everything is connected. Your hot water heater is connected today. I don't know why, but it's got to tell you what, it's connected. Everything is connected, and if you're going to join the modern world, then you realize what you can do with it, and there is so much. Otherwise, you're a box on 4 legs.
Yeah.
We're much more than that, and the Insider Connected takes us to a whole new level of where we're going.
Mm-hmm. What's the most requested? Is there most requested though? That
game?
Yeah.
Well, part of it's our title. It's real estate is location, location, location. Pinball, I say, is title, title, title. But it's the game. It's a ball and bat game. Keep your eye on the ball. It's a ball and bat game. There's certain things you don't want to differentiate from, like change the size of the game, changes the whole physics of the game. People made wide body games. You have to put more parts in because the ball slows up left to right if it's a bigger game. So any event, we have you have a ball and bat game. You have a good title, and the other thing which attracts people. We say that the title attracts people, gets the first quarter, which today is more than a quarter, and also gives the designer ideas for that. We made a game, Tales from the Crypt, and there's a scene in the display where somebody is cut in half with a chainsaw. What a great idea. Yeah. Except I happened to see the episode. It was Joe Pesci who got cut in half. There were 2 twins who wanted to date him, so they cut him in half with a chainsaw. No. Yeah. So it gives the designer ideas too. So you get design ideas, you get 4 corners with it which to design, you get attracting the player.
Yeah.
And you should get good promotion and so forth. My father used to say that a pinball machine has to have a good theme, good action, and good rules. It's got to have good promotion, good distribution, good art. It's just like a movie.
Yeah.
But it's not telling any deep story like I always use, and I'm going to date myself, China Syndrome, which was about the nuclear power plant that burned down, that burned through. Well, we don't, we're not telling, we're just having fun. It's all about fun. It's mechanical action pinball that is fun. We have more toys today than we used to, more mechanical toys that you can hit with the ball and do things. But again, you got to have the casual player, keep the core player, easy to learn, hard to master. And the games today have more mechanical action than games of years ago and have a more complex rule set, easy rules and hard rules. Modes didn't exist 30 years ago. Different modes, just game theory, just like game theory in any other kind of game.
Yeah.
It's much more complex.
Yeah.
And of course they're physically more complex. You saw them making it, and
it's crazy.
Now
man.
It got simplified with new electronics, with the bus system. Now we're much simpler. We're no longer a half a mile of wire. We're down to just under a quarter mile of wire, as I said earlier. But all that's soldered by hand. and done by hand.
Really, it's super intricate and impressive. And
And
people watch the video.
If you watch a video of the cable, it's not like your computer plugs in one side and in the other. There's lots of wires coming out and going different places to the different mechanical devices. And these people, the people building these things, they learn where each thing goes. It's part of the problem we shift games so much. Partly because we have, like everybody else in manufacturing, supply chain issues. So, okay, we're going to make this game. When we started Rush, the plan was to make 800 of the Pro version, maybe 1,000 of the Pro version, followed right away with 1,000 of the limited edition, that's what we're making, followed by hundreds of the premium version. That plan, it's like war when the plan lasts as long until the first shot is fired. Well, that's the same here. Within 2 days, we switched the plan because some parts weren't coming in. You can't get everything. You can't get chips and all the chips you want. And so it's a constant job to find stuff. We were brilliant. So we picked the manufacturer for our chipset the same as Ford uses in the F-150 truck. Which are all in parking lots waiting for chips before they can deliver them. The whole world is, having supply chain, and then there's problems of freight. And
is the chip crisis starting to come back? Is it starting to get better?
No.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. No, today we were just talking about certain things are maybe getting worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They use it in manufacturing. There's a phrase which I never believed in. For our manufacturing, just in time. These big companies would do all their planning and so forth to have parts just in time.
Just in time.
The new phrase I've read, I didn't make this up, is you buy parts now just in case. So if you find it, you buy it. You buy more, than you need.
Yeah. Now, were you offended by that Windows game, the pinball, virtual pinball? That you play on that. Remember that? It was like a preloaded game. I forget what it was called.
No.
But
I'm not offended by anything about pinball.
But I feel like pinball should be on the boards. You should be on the wood. You should be hitting buttons. You shouldn't be clicking a mouse.
It's a ball and bat game. And as Harry Williams would say, the great pinball designer, Williams Company, the ball is wild. It's your randomizer. And just like baseball, you're going to hit the ball. You don't know what the spin may, depending how the pitch came into you. Your spin's going to be different. The real game is ball and bat. Yes, people simulate pinball on even today. That's one of the things we have. We have games. Farsight has the Stern Arcade as video as video pinball machine, and we did with Oculus. We did VR. And by the way, I was playing AC/DC. I was playing AC/DC in the VR at the Consumer Electronics Show. We go to the Consumer Electronics Show to introduce pinball, to show pinball, and because we're technical. And so I'm playing it, and I am doing better on the VR game than on a regular pinball. And then Jody, who I mentioned licensing, said, "Yeah, we adjusted it and slowed it down because you can adjust it, all that." But we do. We go to the Consumer Electronics Show. We go to certain shows that we sell games at, and certain shows that we sell the idea of pinball machines. Consumer Electronics Show, they say, "Why are you here?" I said, "Yeah, we sell to consumers and we have electronics inside. We belong here." But we get lots of people, different tech podcasts and magazines and what have you, seeing what we're doing. We're just, we need to enlarge. We've done a lot to enlarge pinball. And once again, the thing that's going to enlarge it the most is Insider Connected. I can keep coming back to that and how it will allow people to communicate through the games and with each other. They will, be able to keep track of what they're doing. They'll get merit badges and achievements and what have you, and more towards the features. The operators will be able to do their own promotions one day and so forth. So it's just we just develop.
That's a cool feature.
Yeah.
What's a game go for nowadays?
Well, again, different versions of the game. The Pro Premium LE, we do have a home version game, and boy, I should know this right off the top of my head, and I don't. They retail for, let's say, $6,000 to $10,000, give or take. The home game is going to be closer to under 5, 4,000. We'd like it to be 4,000. It's a little bit more than that.
That's the goal to try to be.
Well, I know the goal would be to be a lot less than that.
Yeah. I mean, but
this is a real pinball machine. Our home version. It doesn't have coin op in it, but it is the same mechanical parts. It's a real pinball machine.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller footprint, but a full size play field, so it plays great, absolutely great. So that's our home edition, and so.
Well, all right, Gary. I think we're at the end here now. That was a lot of good information there about the pinball world. I
appreciate your interest, and everybody needs to become insider connected. When you go up to a game or go to our website, and you can register there, or go up to a game and scan the QR code, just like the menu in restaurants today. I finally had to learn to use a QR code, or I couldn't eat. Yeah.
So when you go to these breweries, you're saying is interconnected is going to be there and whatnot?
It's more and more of them are.
Okay.
There's God, I don't know. There's tens of thousands of machines connected.
Gotcha.
Not tens and tens, but already
a lot of machines.
Yeah. And so it's really important, and I think it's really the future of games and of pinball. And even you think about, and I'm holding you over, but you think about other coin-op games. Again, our home games are connected. The coin-op commercial games are connected. And you think about other games in a family entertainment center, what have you. Most of them are standalone or connected to a bank, but not connected where the player the game knows who the player is and keeps track of them and keeps track of your achievements and accomplishments.
Yeah, no, it was really cool, the screen that we saw today. So
good.
All right, the Pinball King, Gary, thank you very much for joining the show.
Thanks for your interest in pinball. I had a good time.
Awesome, me too. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow.